ICE in Minnesota, it's still a shit show. But now people are fighting back. People are fighting back everywhere, especially in court. Brock and Ellis joins us now from the beautiful confines of the Upper Hudson River Valley, right outside New York City. And Brock, basically people have had it. Holman showed up there. He's not outside throwing smoke bombs and wearing Nazi costumes like Bovino did, but he's sending home 700 agents. Oh, there's still 2,000 left, you moron. Do you think? And here's the thing, Brock. They just killed two people, and they're still pointing their weapons at people. I mean, I saw a video today of it looked like it was an alleyway, and they were stopping a vehicle, and the guy literally had his gun on the windshield pointed at the driver. What are you stopping him for? And then you ask him for ID? That's reason to pull your gun? Like, all of them had their guns out. What the fuck are they doing, Brock?
Everything about the ICE scenario is a fraud. One thing I'll question you on your first comment was, is Holman sending 700 people home? No, I think he's just sending 700 people to some other city for the fuckery, right? They're just Columbus, Ohio next. I don't know. So yeah, maybe great for Minneapolis that there'll be 25% less agents. Still
Right.
a ton running around terrorizing the people. And those 700 will be in another city.
Right.
Just, playing the same games like you said, throwing the Constitution out the window, shaking down the community, loading people in vans and filling those for-profit facilities. So, like, I've seen nothing changed in ICE. Kristi Noem's bullshit about the cameras was a fraud. Believe it when I see it. We'll never get the footage anyway. And, Trump's out on, an interview saying, oh, maybe there needs to be a softer touch. But we're dealing with really hardened criminals here. So he threw a bone to the press. They ran with it as if he was changing his tone. Nothing has fucking changed. Holman's a fucking Nazi jackass just like Bovino was. And nothing in the tone or in the activities of ICE has changed one iota. And it won't until we stare them down. And our fucking politicians on the left better not give a fucking inch in Congress on this topic.
Right. Right. We can't.
They're
We
on the
can't
front
afford.
lines of the argument. They're for us, right? Their job right now is to argue on our behalf, to represent us as the people. And it's so obvious where the people are on this topic.
Not even close.
Yeah.
It's not even close. Decent people are on the right side of this issue, right? And if anybody tries to, argue with you for ICE and that their position is warranted, you really ought to take a look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, why am I talking to this person? Why am I dealing with this idiot? Because anyone that sees the death of Alex Preddy and Renee Good as necessary is ridiculous. And it's funny too, Brock, because they say Stephen Miller wants to beat Barack Obama's record as deporter in chief, right? How did Barack Obama get those numbers? You know what Barack Obama did? He went and got the worst of the worst. You know what he did? He tried to relieve overcrowding in the jails and prisons and took the people who were scheduled for deportation out of the jails and prisons and sent them home. He didn't go grabbing people who said they were where they said they were going to be, right? He didn't go grabbing people who said, oh, this is the address where you can find me. The people who were going through the process. He went and got people that actually had good reason to get the hell out of here, right? We're sending people who work in a salon, to concentration camps to be brutalized and tortured.
Whatever Obama's deportation numbers were, it had a mild, if any, effect on the functionings of society, right? It was done in
Nobody
a
even knew what
way,
was going
yeah,
on.
you didn't know what was going on. Now,
You didn't even know.
I'm sure at the border we had atrocities because now we've seen there's no doubt the agency has had problems since day one. But having
Right.
said that, you know, no policing's ever going to be perfect, right? So we can't even get to there. But yeah, it didn't terrorize communities, and it didn't, throw out our basic rights and liberties along the way, right? It didn't challenge the whole, bargain we have as Americans with our government. Just
Right.
it doesn't have to be done that way. This is
Right.
being done as an intimidation tactic and as an authoritarian government tactic. So it's total bullshit. We just cannot let up on this ice at all.
No.
And it's got to be it is topic one right now. It's,
It's got to be.
it,
How can it not be? I mean, I just feel like it's so wrong on so many different levels. We've got we've got 9-year-olds in Minnesota afraid to go to carrying their passports, afraid that they're going to be taken away where their mothers and fathers can't find them.
yeah, yeah,
Mothers, the ones that are sending their kids to school are
yeah.
having to reassure their kids, if they come get you, I will find you. I mean, how is a kid not supposed to carry that for the rest of his freaking life? We're brutalizing the children, a whole generation, not to mention what we did to the children in the Trump 1.0.
And Trump's still trying to play us for fools as if they're only going after dangerous criminals, as if this is some legitimate law
Oof.
enforcement, process. And we all know that that's a total fucking lie, like everything else he says. So just today, when he's going back on that, we know that's not true because we're watching the videos and we hear the stories and we see the people that are getting carted away. And it's
Right.
false. It was a false premise to start with. And now the lies are just so obvious and embarrassing. I mean, that only can be playing to hopefully 20-25% of the country. I
Right.
mean, I can't even believe that 40% of the country is still buying that horse shit.
No, no. I think those numbers in these polls that we're seeing are inflated, because there is no way that you can find only 6 out of 10 people, on where you have 40% on board for the brutality that's taking place, on board for what's now being labeled a homicide in the death of Alex Peretti, right? It's now been deemed a homicide. So, what in the hell is going on? When has the federal government ever been able to say, yeah, we're not going to allow you to investigate this? Right? This is going back to the civil rights movement, bro. Right? When people were getting shot, killed, maimed out in the streets. Right? And the federal authorities were being called to come. The federal authorities, remember then, were the good guys. I don't know if you saw Mississippi Burning, right? The movie Mississippi Burning, right? But think about Judas and the Black Messiah and the murder of Fred Hampton, right? The feds came in and had to investigate these horrific occurrences in the unaliving of civil rights protesters, civil rights activists, those wanting fair and just society, a fair and just society for all, right? Dr. King's dream, right? Not sure how well they investigated the Fred Hampton shooting. We're still learning more about that. But, nonetheless, the federal government is supposed to be who we turn to when things on the local level and the state level don't necessarily add up. When we get 1 and 1 equals 3, there has to be someplace else to turn.
Because for the
And it's
federal
it's just
government, the Constitution was supposed to matter for all those workers because they're taking the oath to the
exactly.
Constitution first. And, you know, there was at least that expectation. I mean, we never truly achieved that, but we expected a semblance of it, at least a majority of the time that we were
Right.
going to move in the right direction. We're not even close to that now. So we got to stay loud and aggressive, and our leadership has to reflect the anger that is, weaved its way throughout the country.
Yeah.
And I'm worried that they won't, because I look at the people
Ooh.
and I don't know if they're just people that have the fire in them. I feel like they're like, political operators, and they've done well in that career path. And maybe they
Yep.
took that career path because they were good at massaging facts and, tempering scenarios and, getting along and moving along and, quote, consensus building, not firebrands. And I think
Right.
that's who's gotten into leadership is the real, the softies have kind of, what's
Yeah,
that?
we got a bunch of wimps. Afraid to speak their mind. I'll tell you one guy I do like, though, if we could touch on this for a moment, the paycheck to paycheck economy. Mandela Barnes, who is a candidate for governor in Wisconsin, is calling it out, bro. He is calling out the out and right. I mean, we've termed it fuckery here, but Donald Trump enriching himself to the tune of 1.4 billion dollars that we know of. That we know. We don't know where the Venezuela oil money is going, right? It's apparently going to Qatari banks, right? Where Donald Trump and the Qataris are in charge of it, right? Not the U.S. Treasury, but that's okay, right? We don't know how much is in there, how much he's selling a barrel of oil. What's Donald Trump, selling a barrel of oil for, right? To enrich himself. But Mandela Barnes was talking about the incredible strain, financial strain that was put on the citizens of Wisconsin, specifically the residents of Milwaukee. And there was an independent grocery store there that he talked about. It only took 30 days. Remember during the shutdown when the SNAP benefits were taken away? 30 days, the grocery store had to shutter itself, close its doors. It was that fragile a margin that they couldn't withstand 30 days without their normal customers
Yeah.
that they had to close. Those stories are happening all over the country. Mandela Barnes is going to win that election for
I was
governor.
just going to ask if you thought, can a black man win the governor seat in Wisconsin? Or are all
Yeah.
those rural towns still clinging to their racism, even as their net
Even
worth
as they're
declines?
starving.
Yeah, their
Even as
farms,
they're starving.
their farms are going under. They got screwed on the farm.
Yep. I think he's going to win it. I think he'll get, the city centers around Wisconsin, those bigger towns, those college educated towns, Madison, around Milwaukee, he's going to do well as an African American. But those bigger cities in Wisconsin, I mean, no, there's not a whole lot of them. He's probably going to carry Sheboygan. Um,
Uh,
but,
okay.
I just think, Brock, we are at a crisis point. What do you want?
Wisconsin has elected Ron Johnson as their fucking senator.
I know. But now is the time to say, look, this fucking guy is out of his fucking mind, doing Trump's bidding for him, helping Trump enrich himself while we sit here and starve. I mean, when are people gonna? When are the folks in that little town in Nebraska where the meat plant closed gonna ask themselves that question? Everybody's getting rich except us, except the people. The people are being left behind. And Donald Trump could give a fuck about the people. And we've known that. We knew that from 1.0, right? Donald Trump doesn't care. He's not capable of caring
Fair.
about anybody else.
Absolutely no. It doesn't even cross his mind. It's
No.
not even a part of his reality.
Right.
Absolutely does not give a shit. You're just dupes. He's just gonna play you for the full. He's gonna talk about the hardened criminals that ICE is going after and try to scare the shit out of you about the others, So you forget everything else about your life and only focus on that one aspect of addressing your fear of the others. And that is the entire game that Trump is going to play. And he's going to steal everyone blind along the way. Think about the
Yep.
dollars of our tax dollars that went into the military assets that had to go into the Caribbean, that had to, kill all those, bomb all those boats, and then go into Venezuela so that this money could get, oil money could get siphoned off to a Qatari bank where there's like no oversight, no audit trail, no one has any fucking idea.
You're right.
Right? Qataris are probably out the side door, putting money into Trump's crypto that's, untrackable. And that 1.4 billion is probably a fraction of what he's really,
Exactly.
pocketed.
Oh, no doubt. I absolutely believe that 100%. Um, I think that's just the tip of the iceberg, as a matter of fact, because we don't know what these corporations have given him on the side. We don't know what they've promised him after he leaves. Um, because we know he's got to get out of here. As Steve Bannon said, once they get wiped out in 26 and 28, a whole lot of people in that room are going to prison.
Yeah, but Trump will never think like that. He'll just spend all his time thinking about what he has to say and do to manipulate elections or cancel them. Or I mean, he's already floating out the nationalization of elections, right? So
Right.
he's already on that track. So he's not thinking there's ever going to be a moment that he has to run away because he
Right.
thinks he's going to figure out a way to stay in power to the day he dies.
Yep.
So that's where his head at is on every topic. You'll never hear him talking about passing the torch or who the next candidate for president is going to be. Why wouldn't the Republicans be talking about who the next candidate for president is going to be? That's a natural conversation when your current president can't run again.
Exactly.
Why is the conversation going on? It's going on the Democratic side. No one's being too loud about it because the midterms are the focus, but you're starting to hear conversations about who it might be. But on the
Right.
Republican side, Trump will, that's not what he's thinking. He's thinking, I'm going for a third term. I don't care what the Constitution says. Like,
Right.
this shit, he ain't going anywhere.
No. 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 And if he tries it, Americans better rise up and get to DC and throw his ass out on his elbows.
Of course
Okay?
he's going to try it. He's this ICE shit and him talking about that federal raid in Atlanta. These are all test runs to see
Yeah.
how much pushback he's going to get. Are we
Right.
going to push back
Right.
as the people? And if we
Well,
don't, he'll just keep creeping up on us,
yep.
creeping authoritarianism. Right? It doesn't happen necessarily overnight. Right? It comes out, 3 yards in a cloud of dust,
Yeah.
and
It's
he's
all a
marching
test.
down the field.
Put up- Yeah. To see what we'll put up with. Fulton County, did file a motion in federal court to get those ballots back that were seized by Tulsi Gabbard and the FBI. I'm really anxious to hear what Tulsi Gabbard has hidden in that whistleblower report that's been classified and locked away. I want to know what that inspector general who was fired has to say, right? Because he's seen it. He needs to come out and let us know exactly who's passing off state secrets to Russia, right? And now that we have evidence against Tulsi Gabbard, let's impeach and remove and incarcerate. She needs to be prosecuted, right? Because that's high treason, punishable by death in this here country. Treason is still punishable by death here. So, you know what, Tulsi? I hope the money was worth it because you're not going to be able to buy your way out of that one. Hopefully, you get you a damn good lawyer, but who would want to represent
Yeah,
you?
I mean, is she gonna be able to keep this under wraps for? I mean, she gets stuck in that same boat as Trump, where they can't go anywhere because once
Right.
they're once they're out, they're screwed. So,
Done.
like, that's what Trump loves. Surround yourself with people who are, in essence, desperate for power as he is, and
Yeah.
have them as his underlings, right? Pam
And that's
Bondi's the role. What's Pam Bondi going to do with her life if there's a different DOJ looking at what she's done over her career? I mean,
right.
she's going to jail. She knows it.
Right. Right. And that's the bottom line. All right, I got a couple of quick hits for you before we get out of here. We might be in danger of losing the Super Bowl because Donald Trump's going to take it away because um, your boy Roger Goodell had a couple of had a couple of ugly words, and he talked about the administrations before Trump. So he's definitely going to piss Trump off. Trump will probably sue the NFL,
What did
right?
Goodell say? I hadn't seen the quote.
Yeah, I haven't seen the quote, but they were saying that Goodell is pissed. I mean, that Trump is pissed about what Goodell said because Trump, I'm not going to the Super Bowl. I'm not
Yeah, yeah.
going.
He's always been
You know
pissed because the NFL owners wouldn't let him buy a team back in the day. He's
exactly,
always hated the NFL.
exactly.
But the
So
NFL's a MAGA league. I'm surprised. Goodell's usually better at holding his tongue, but good.
right,
I, I'm gonna look to see what he actually said because it doesn't take much to piss Trump off, right? He's a
no,
fucking
not at
narcissist.
all. So there will be no Super Bowls going forward. And then one of my favorite guys. I don't know if you've read Dan Rather's book. I'm tired of giving you reading assignments, but Dan Rather says. A few people have asked me why I vehemently oppose Trump. Let's make this perfectly clear. It's not about politics. I voted for both parties. It's about me as a patriot rejecting a cheating, lying, racist, treasonous, fascist, and vile man who attacks the free press. It's really that simple. Signed, Dan Rather. Couldn't be more spot on.
How? And you know what? I'm glad he said it. But as I was listening to it, I'm like, yeah, all these things are fucking obvious. How is that not the statement coming from
Your political leaders.
everybody? I
Every
mean, I get it.
single
I get it. Not MAGA, right? The white supremacists love what Trump's doing. But
right.
everybody else should just look at that Dan Rather quote and go, yeah, exactly. It's a pretty
Repeat after
simple
him.
decision. The funny thing is, it was a simple decision 10 years ago. But okay,
Right.
now if it takes you 10 years of seeing it, fine. Get there now.
Right.
What can you dispute? And which part of Dan Rather's quote can you dispute?
There's nothing there that can be
Nothing.
disputed.
It's fucking simple. It's
Yep.
straightforward. All
Yep.
right, I got a quick hit for you. You see, speaking of the free press, Washington Post laid off
Place.
300 reporters today, basically gutted their staff as Bezos held on to the tagline, Democracy Dies in Darkness. It's First of all, they all should have seen it coming because as soon as he bought it and started changing it, they were already at a place that was tainted. So
Yep.
none should be surprised. But, the oligarchy wants to dominate our airwaves and what we get to see and hear. And it's another place where Americans are going to have to stop being lazy and start spending the time to search for truth because it's not going to be spoon fed to you. It's, the information that we're getting is being manipulated and propagandized. And now
Yep.
Bezos has decided that he wants to be a part of that. I mean,
Yep.
the Melania movie is an embarrassment to him and should just tell you all you need to know about how he wants to just play with the Mad King so that he can have more influence, power, and money. And he's reflective.
70 million.
Yeah, he's reflective of a lot of people in the media. So I find it like just disgraceful that Bezos has
Yep.
destroyed one of the great American newspapers. So it's a bad day for free press.
An
But
institution.
but
Yep.
it's not surprising.
When history is written, he'll be remembered as the jackass that destroyed an institution. He'll be another one. Him, Murdoch, um, those jackasses, well, the Murdochs at the New York Post,
Ellison, who took
Fox
over
News,
CBS, who bought
and
CBS to have
Jerry
destroyed
Rice.
that, you know?
Yep. Listen to this quote from Malcolm X years ago, the man before his time. We are in Black History Month, the shortest month of the year, by the way. I figured we could throw a couple of quotes in from some prominent African Americans. A lie told once is questioned. A lie repeated often enough becomes accepted. And once it becomes common sense, people stop investigating it. That's how deception survives.
That's why part of what we do here in the podcast, you have to confront the lies every fucking time and just don't let it slip by. It's bullshit. You can't let any of it slip by. And it's tiring to have to constantly, every day, confront a wave of lies. Trump's a pathological liar. He's taught his entire MAGA army to just lie first, say whatever works in your behalf. Doesn't matter if it's in any way connected to the truth. Just say what you need to say. Look, we've seen it with Kristi Noem. Everyone, right? We've seen it with Kristi Noem on down the line and DHS. You see it from like a Scott Bessent, anyone on the financial side of the ledger. You see it from a Rubio, anything that go on with international politics. They tend to get caught there because their counterparties will say, like Pakistan did, like Trump had nothing to do with negotiating anything that went on over here relative to a war, right? They'll call him out. We have to do it all day, every day here in America. The media is not going to do it. We all have to get our own fucking megaphones on social media, and we have to do it ourselves.
Yep. Absolutely, bro. Great way to end it. We'll get together, do it again tomorrow.
Let's tee it up again. I'm sure we'll have some more lies to confront. I can almost guarantee you on that.
Never stops. All right, bro.
All right. Always a pleasure, Mark. Talk to you tomorrow.